Today we will learn the first chapter from the 7th standard, that is the nutrition in plants. In my previous video we have already studied about the autotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. We have studied what is nutrition, we have studied the modes of nutrition, the main two types of nutrition, the autotrophic and the heterotrophic type of nutrition. And we have also studied about what is photosynthesis and how the plants are going to perform the photosynthesis. Today, in this video, we shall continue studying the nutrition in plants. In this video, we shall study the other modes of nutrition in plants. The plants have different modes of nutrition other than the autotrophic mode of nutrition. It includes, first of all, we have a main type is the heterotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. In heterotrophic mode of nutrition, there is two main types. One is the parasitic mode of nutrition and other one we have the saprophytic mode of nutrition. Apart from this, we will also study about the insectivorous plants and also we will study about the symbiotic relationship in the plants. So, first of all, we will start up with the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Most of the plants, they have a green pigment called as chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll helps the plant to prepare their own food, okay, or to perform the photosynthesis. So, the plants which have the chlorophyll pigment, they are going to perform the photosynthesis. That is, they have an autotrophic mode of nutrition. But there are some plants which do not have this chlorophyll, and so they cannot prepare their own food, and they follow the other mode of nutrition, that is an heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So, heterotrophic mode of nutrition means it's a kind of nutrition in which a plants or an animals cannot prepare their own food, but they are dependent on the other animals for their food. We call it as a heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So, in that we have two main types. One we have a parasitic mode of nutrition and other one we have a saprophytic mode of nutrition. So, we will start up with the first one, the parasitic mode of nutrition. So, now we will discuss about the parasitic mode of nutrition. Before that, we need to know what is a parasite. A parasite is an animal or it can be a plant which lives on the body or inside the body of another organism and derives the food from it. We call it as a parasite. So the organisms which obtain the food from the living bodies of the other animals or the plants, we call them as a parasite. And a living organism from whose body the food is obtained, okay, the living organism from whose body the food is obtained, for them we call it as a host of the parasite. This parasite plants climb on the host plants from which they get the food. A parasite plant produces a special type of roots which we call them as in sucking roots, which penetrate into the host plant, and this parasite sucks the food material from the host through the special roots, and that special roots we call it as in sucking roots. So this is an example of an parasite, okay. The best example will be a cuscuta. This cuscuta plants, they do not have a chlorophyll. You can see the cuscuta plant, it has an yellow tubular structure twinning around the stem and branches of a tree. The tree on which a cuscuta plant climbs is called as its host, and cuscuta is a non-green plant having yellow color. Since cuscuta plant does not have a green pigment called chlorophyll, it cannot synthesize its own food. So, the cuscuta takes the ready-made food from the plant or the tree on which it climbs. Since this cuscuta takes the valuable nutrients from the host tree, this is called as a parasite. So next we will discuss about the saprophytic mode of nutrition. So what is saprophytic mode of nutrition? The non-green plants which obtain their food from the dead and decaying organic matter, we call them as a saprophytic mode of nutrition, or the organism is called as a saprophytes. The non-green plants called fungi, they derive the food from the dead and decaying organic matter. So we can say the fungi, they are the saprophytes. Some of the common examples of the saprophytes fungi are mushrooms, bread mold, yeast. They are all saprophytes. Certain bacteria are also known as saprophytes. This bacteria also derive their food from the dead and decaying organic matter. So there are some of the saprophytic bacteria too. Many times you can see a small fluffy umbrella like plants growing on the rotting wood during the rainy season. These are a kind of fungus called as mushroom. They take the nutrition from the rotting wood of the dead tree, so they are saprophytes. These saprophytic plants, they do not have a chlorophyll and hence they cannot make their own food by photosynthesis. These saprophytic plants, they secrete the digestive juice on the dead and decaying organic matter and convert it into a solution, and they absorb the nutrients from this solution. And this mode of nutrition in which a plants take in the nutrients from the dead and decaying organic matter, we call it as a saprophytic mode of nutrition. And the plant which use the saprophytic mode of nutrition, we call it as a saprotrophs. So this is about the saprophytic mode of nutrition. Fungi, they grow on the pickles, leather objects, clothes and other articles which are left uncleaned in the hot and humid weather for considerable time. The growth of the fungi may spoil many things during the rainy season. It is due to the growth of the fungus that your leather shoes kept in the house sometimes get spoiled during the rainy season. You can grow the fungus on the bread yourself. What you need to do is you need to take a slice of bread and moisten it with water and keep it in a moist and a warm place for about 2 to 3 days. We'll find a small fluffy patches which appear on the surface of the slice of bread, and the patches of the fungus, they may be white, green, brown, black or any other color, and these patches, they are the fungus plant. Do you know how the fungi appear suddenly during the rainy season? The tiny pores of the fungus plants are always present in air. And when these tiny pores find a suitable object and in a suitable conditions, suitable environmental condition, they germinate and grow into an fungus plant. The fungi can be useful as well as it can be harmful too. For example, fungi such as mushroom, yeast are very much useful. Okay, mushrooms are eaten as in vegetables, and whereas yeast are used in the production of alcohol. Some fungi are also known for making the medicines. Okay, they are also used for making medicines. For example, penicillium, a fungus, is used in making an antibiotic called penicillin. And some fungi are also known to cause disease in plants and also in the human beings. So this is all about the fungi. The next we will study about the insectivorous plant. Have you ever seen or heard of the plants that eat animals? Isn't that amazing? Plants eating animals? There are few plants which trap the insect and digest them. Okay, the plants, they are going to trap the insect and they are going to digest them. Is it not amazing? Such plants which obtain their food partly from the insect, we call them as an insectivorous plant. And the example for this is a pitcher plant. So this is a pitcher plant here. In this pitcher plant, you can see a jug-like or a pitcher-like structures. And this pitcher-like structure, it is an modified part of the leaf. And the leaf apex, they are going to form a lid of a pitcher plant which open and close the mouth of the pitcher. Inside the pitcher, there are the hairs which are directed downwards, and when the insect falls in the pitcher, the lid closes automatically and the trapped insect gets entangled in the hair of the pitcher and hence cannot come out. After some times, the pitcher insect dies in the pitcher and the walls of the pitcher secrete the digestive juice which digests the proteins present in the body of insect to form a simpler nitrogenous compounds. And these simpler nitrogenous compounds, they are absorbed by the walls of the pitcher and used by the whole pitcher plant. Remember, these insectivorous plants are green and they can carry out the photosynthesis too to obtain the part of the food. But they do not get the nitrogen nutrient from the soil in which they grow. So, the insectivorous plants, they feed on the insects to obtain the nitrogen compound needed for their growth. So, this is about the insectivorous plant. Next, we will study about the symbiotic plants. Symbiote means some plants or some animals, they live together and they share both shelter and nutrients, and this relationship we call it as an symbiosis. Okay, the living together of two different species of plants as if they are a part of the plant and help each other in obtaining the food, we call them as a symbiosis. The best example for symbiotic relationship is the lichens. In lichens, the green colored plant called alga and a non-green plant called fungus live together. The fungus plants absorb the water and minerals from the surroundings and supply them to the algae. The alga, being green, prepares the food by the photosynthesis and shares it with fungus. So both algae and fungi gains mutually from one another by living together. So this is a best example for symbiosis. And this type of condition where two different organisms live together and help each other to survive is called as a symbiotic relationship. Another example of symbiotic relationship is provided by the rhizobium bacteria and the leguminous plants. The rhizobium bacteria, they cannot make their own food, and the rhizobium bacteria, they live in the root nodules of the leguminous plants such as peas, beans, pulses, gram. And the rhizobium bacteria, they convert the atmospheric nitrogen into an soluble nitrogen compounds, okay, and give them to the leguminous plants for their growth. In return, the leguminous plants give food and shelter to rhizobium bacteria. Thus, the rhizobium bacteria and the leguminous plants, they have a symbiotic relationship. So, this is about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition in plants. So, here completes your first chapter, the nutrition in plants. Hope you have understood what I have taught. Thank you.